Hello everybody, welcome back to Discussion the Show. On today's video, you guys can see we are back with another and the final and just like that review. It is episode 10 and just like that review, y'all. If you guys have been with me since episode 1, you a real one. Shout out to y'all. But guys, we're gonna talk about episode 10. We're gonna see what was going on. What was going on in episode 10, y'all? Let's get into the video. So y'all, we're here with episode 10 and just like that review, we have made it to the end, to the last one. I'm not sure, from what I know from when this show originally was happening, this was only supposed to be a limited series, 10 episodes. That's it. So from my knowledge, I feel like this is it. But I could see them deciding if they want to continue to another season. I don't know. This is just me speculating. But from what I knew, from what I know, it's only supposed to be a limited series, 10 episodes, and that's it. So from what I know, this is going to be the last and just like that episode. We're going to see what happens in the future, but for now, that's what I know, y'all. So yeah, let's get into it. Episode 10 started off with the podcast. Carrie, Che, and Jackie, they're playing worst breakup, okay? Jackie's telling his story, Che's telling their story, and then Carrie's like, well, no, y'all, I have the worst breakup because my husband died, okay? That's the card she has been playing this whole season. My husband died, and that's that, okay? I have the worst. Everything is going bad right now. Worst breakup. I have an excuse. My husband died, all right? And then we jump to the scene where Carrie's in her closet. You know, the huge. She's taking out her shoes because she's finally going on a date with Peter. Peter Pumpkin Eater. Finally going on a date with him. We have been seeing this drag out for the last couple of episodes of her going back on another date with him because, as you guys know, their first date, they ended up drinking a lot and just throwing up, which was crazy. So she speaks to Big in the closet. I'm going on a date. Are you happy? Basically like, damn, you shouldn't have died on me, you know? So she goes on a date with Peter, and when she's walking, they don't show the date, but they show Peter walking her home. And when he's walking her home, I see what I remember seeing on the paparazzi pic. Because if you guys have seen the paparazzi pic like I saw them, then you remember seeing her walking with this guy, and everybody was like, oh, what's going on? Why is Carrie out with this guy? Blah, blah, blah. And so we see that Peter asks to, well, he's like, oh, we did pretty well for two heartbroken people. He tells Carrie, like, him and his wife and kids used to live in a brownstone, blah, blah, blah. And then he asks Carrie if he can kiss her. Carrie says yes, they kiss. And we see the next scene, Carrie is calling Seema to tell her about the date. Seema's like, how was it? And then Carrie, she's having mixed feelings about it, you know. She says they kissed. She says, it wasn't big. She's you could tell she's not really settled. Like, this is not something, she's not mad, but she's not happy. Like, she's in this weird space, which, I could understand. And then she was like, the kiss wasn't really, she don't know what she felt. And from when she was talking to Seema about that, the one thing I could remember was in the Sex and the City episodes. I forgot what season it was, but then she was like, it wasn't the Zaza Zoo, like that sparkle, that spark. She didn't feel it. So the first thing that popped in my head was the Zaza Zoo. Like, so I was like, I don't know, that got in my head. It would have been cute if they like threw that in there for, a little pizzazz, but that's what I thought about in my head. I was like, oh, she didn't feel the Zaza Zoo. All my Sex and the City fans, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all get it. But then Seema is over there with her new boo, Zen, or Zed. I know it's not with a Z, because his club is named Z. But yeah, she over there with her new boo or whatever. He comes over, he starts kissing, and at the same time they're talking about, the kiss. And she's like, that's not what I was feeling. That's not. And then as he was kissing Seema, you know, she moans a little. She's like, and then Carrie's like, oh yeah, oh, that's what I remember. You know, she's like, all right, girl, bye. You know, Seema over there about to get it. And then she's like, yeah, bye. So Carrie hangs up. And then Carrie's about to go to sleep, and she turns off her lamp. And that lamp said, bruh, it came back on. I was like, She turned it back off. Bruh, it came back on. I was like, no. So, of course, the next day, she's telling Miranda and Charlotte what was going on, what was the lights, you know. She talked about Peter kissing her. And then, of course, Charlotte, you know, the hopeless romantic she still is. She's like, oh my God, he kissed you. And Carrie's like, yeah, but it wasn't big, blah, blah, blah. She starts telling him about the light flicking off. She's like, I think Big was trying to speak to me. And then, of course, Miranda, you know, Miranda being Miranda, she's like, And Charlotte is like, you know, Charlotte believes in it. And they start talking about, like, heaven. And Miranda's like, I didn't know that you changed your mind. I thought you were with me. Like, you believe in that? You believe Big is up there sitting on a cloud, smoking? And Carrie's like, you know, for what I just went through, I could believe whatever the hell I want to believe. So, but it was cute to see that Charlotte is still that hopeless romantic. They still, like, continued her character's arc of being that lover girl, hopeless romantic. So then we jump to the scene where Carrie's back at her apartment. She's texting now Samantha. So we see her text Samantha. I screenshotted. I took a picture of the text. So she texted Samantha. She's like, I kissed a man. And then, you know, the Samantha replies, the first of many. And, you know, the way that they have these Samantha text chains, it literally sounds like Kim Cattrall, Samantha is texting through, because of course the writing team, they still have Samantha's voice, so it still sounds, when you read in the text, it sounds like something Samantha would say. So it's very like, aw, even though, you know, like, Kim Cattrall wants nothing to do with the show, it's still like, aw, like, they have the little essence of Samantha thrown in there. So Samantha replies and she's like, how was it? And then Carrie replies and she's like, it wasn't big. And then Samantha replies, so it was small. And I'm like, because that's literally something Samantha would say. Like, it just was like, very nostalgic. And then Carrie writes back and she's like, want to talk? And Samantha says, soon. Then we meet Rabbi Jen, where the rabbi, she comes to Charlotte and Harry's home. And Charlotte is excited. We saw earlier in the episode where she's at lunch with Carrie and Miranda, she's excited because the rabbi is transgendered. So she's like, what's the best thing to have a they mitzvah with the transgendered rabbi? And we see, well, Charlotte ends up saying, like, 2 other rabbis had to step down because they had, like, family emergencies. But then come to find out, Rabbi Jen comes down. She's like, Rock is not ready for this. She don't know what the hell she doing, you know. And Harry, he puts 2 and 2 together. He's like, oh, so those previous rabbis, they was being nice. They were trying to be nice and didn't want to say that Rock was not ready for this. So they made up the family excuse so they can get out of it. So Rabbi Jen was not, she was not with the shit. She was like, nah, this is not it. Rock is only gonna know 2 lines in this thing. This might as well be in English. And Charlotte, of course, Charlotte being Charlotte, she's like, I did not become a Jew for So then we see Anthony. He goes into the living room where Rock is playing video games. Anthony's like, Rockefeller. He goes, get it together. This is your time. He takes the control. He's like, get it together, learn your lines, stop playing. Of course, you know, Anthony steps in as that, like, uncle figure, that uncle role. I love to see it. Then we see Miranda, you know, she's excited. She gets to meet Che's family. Says Che invited her to meet the family, so she shows up. They're on this, like, underground club scene. Che is like, Miranda's confused. She's like, I thought I was meeting your family. Che's like, you are. You're going to sit next to my grandma's. So Che brings Miranda in, sits her next to the grandmas. Che's like, all right, we can get started. Miranda's like, started. Che does this whole performance singing about California Child. And come to find out, Che is moving to California, moving to LA to do a pilot Miranda's kind of annoyed. She's like, you should have told me, blah, blah, blah. And then Che's like, well, I want you to come with me. So, you know, that changes Miranda's mood right up. She's like, wait, you want me to come? And then Che's like, yeah, I want the woman that I love to come with me, blah, blah, blah. So Miranda changes up all her plans. She's not doing her internship anymore. That Naya wrote a recommendation for her to get into this internship. She told Carrie how hard it is to get into this internship, and she's about to give all that up so she can go move to LA to be with Che. But she is finishing school virtually. She's not just giving up school, she's finishing virtually, but she's giving up her internship to move to LA with Che, just to, you know, she loves Che and she wants to see where the relationship goes. So then we see a scene where Carrie's going to meet Big's brother, and Big's brother wants to know where Big's remains are. And he starts telling Carrie about a plot that they have with their whole family. He's like, hey, Carrie, we could fit you in here because me and my wife is breaking up. So we could fit you in this plot. You could be with us for eternity in this burial ground. And Carrie's like, you know, let me think about it because I want to figure out where he wants to be. So then we see a scene where, well, because earlier in the episode, Jackie invites Carrie to come to this event with him and his girlfriend. Come to find out that it is a surprise wedding. Jackie is getting married, and at the surprise wedding, the podcast boss, I can't remember his name, production guy that was in the booth with Che and all of them, I forgot his name, but he tells Carrie that, because since Che is moving to LA, you know, the podcast is over, so he tells Carrie, I want you to do a podcast. I will be the showrunner for the podcast, and I want you. Carrie's like, how many drinks have you had? He's like, no, I have no drinks. I want you to run the podcast, which to me makes so much sense. Like, to me, when this show first started, the evolution that I saw for Carrie was being like a Gwyneth Paltrow, like a goop girl, you know, like running her own shit. And she should have been the one running her podcast in the first place. Like, you go from being the sex columnist and then having books. And I feel like the next arc was to have your own shit. So the fact that now she's going to be running her own podcast, it makes so much sense. So then, of course, he goes, you know, and you have that voice, which SJP does have. Like, when she's doing, like, the narration for Carrie, her voice just works so well. So for a podcast, it definitely makes sense. So then we see Carrie go pick up her lamp. The guy says the lamp is working. He has to fix a wire. We see Carrie plug the lamp in and it's still flicking off. So ding, ding, ding. Big is trying to tell her something. In that moment, she has this dream and she envisions the Paris bridge that they were on in Sex and the City on season 6 when she goes to Paris with Alexander Petrovsky, and Big comes to be like, no, I love you, I want you to be with me. They're on this bridge, and she, you know, she always says that's our bridge. So that was the vision that she got to go put Big's ashes. So ding, 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 she is going to Paris. And one thing that I did learn during this season, I don't know if it's true or not, allegedly, Chris Noth was supposed to appear in this last episode as like the ghost or whatever for Big. Like, when you heard Big kind of singing in the background, we were supposed to see him, but because of the sexual allegations that has been going on for these past 2 months, they cut that scene so we won't see him because of that. And we get to the scene where it's the they mitzvah, and you know, Rock is like, I'm not doing this. I'm not feeling this. I don't want to be a boy. I don't want to be a girl. I don't want to be Jewish. I don't want to be nothing. And Charlotte is like, Rock is like, I don't even want to be a New Yorker. And there, Harry and Charlotte are just like, girl, what? Charlotte is like, so you just don't want to be nothing? Rock is like, I am 13. Like, can I just be? Why do I have to, you know, have labels? So Rock is like, I'm not doing this. And then it ends up being that Charlotte, now, because Charlotte's like, this is not going to waste. Somebody is getting mitzvahed, all right? And it ends up that Charlotte, she's now a woman. So then we see the scene where Miranda tells Carrie that she's leaving for LA because Carrie surprises them with tickets to Paris so they can both come. Charlotte and Miranda can both come with her. Miranda tells Carrie that she's going to LA. Carrie's like, huh? She's like, I'm going to LA to be with Che. Carrie, you could tell Carrie is very like why? Like, why do you want to do that? And it was very much the pot calling the kettle black, because she was kind of judging Miranda. And let's not forget, when she wanted to go leave everything behind to go to Paris with Alexander Petrovsky, she was mad when they were questioning, when Samantha, Miranda, and Charlotte were questioning her about why she wants to leave everything and go be with him. So when she was like side-eye Miranda, that's all I remembered. Like, you know, yes, Miranda was questioning you, but after, she did support you. So now this is your time to support her. But, you know, they're gonna show her being kind of annoyed. And she just like, Carrie just like, you know, at the end of the day, she was just like, none of y'all could come. Y'all got me this far. I'm good. I could go to Paris by myself. And we see the scene. It's towards the end of the episode. We see Carrie. She's gonna go to Paris. She's in this huge, elaborate orange gown with the pink gloves. This outfit could have been a hit, but the fit of this gown was so bad. The tailoring and the fit of it was very ill-fitted. But the color contrast of the orange and pink was so beautiful. Like, I wish it was tailored right, so then the look could be executed well. But tailoring definitely makes a difference. So that made the look not great for me. But the color contrast, the color block was beautiful. So we see her on the bridge, and she has this Eiffel Tower bag with the ashes, and she's sprinkling the ashes over the bridge. And then another moment where she texts Samantha, because, you know, she's in Paris and Samantha is in London. She texts Samantha. She's like, I'm in Paris, want to meet for a cocktail. And Samantha texts back, house tomorrow night. And Carrie texts back, fabulous. So, you know, in the Sex and the City world, and just like that world, her and Samantha met up for a drink. Obviously, we didn't see that because they did jump back to being in New York, because obviously Kim Cattrall does not want anything to do with the show. So, but in the Sex and the City world, they did meet up, which I'm like, oh, okay, you know, that's cool. It would have been nice to see Kim Cattrall, but hey, she don't want to do the show. She don't want to do the show. So, what can I say? But I would have loved, one thing I would have loved is if all four of them would be back. Like, Kim Cattrall as Samantha is iconic. Like, she ate Samantha up. That role was everything. Like, she is the Sex in the City. Like each of them had their parts and their roles, and they played their parts and their role to the T. And Samantha is iconic. Like, we stand Samantha. Like, her character and not giving a fuck and just being that girl and being that boss and being fashionable and fly, because Samantha had the looks. It would have been amazing to see Samantha's character reprise her roles. Kim Cattrall reprise the role of Samantha for Just Like That. But, you know, for her self-care, I can't knock it. You know, we have to know where we want to be, and she don't want to be there, so it is what it is. So then we see towards the end of the episode, Miranda is going to LA, like we know. She colored her hair orange. You know, she's been on this power to the gray hairs the whole season, but she colored her hair orange back to, you know, the natural roots, back to her original color. And her and Brady have a little talk, and it was cute to see her in the little orange hat, because, you know, we missed the redhead. Like, we missed that orange redhead girl. So it was cute. And then we see Carrie doing her first podcast, and it's called Sex in the City. I was like, see, that's cute. That's cute. Of course, titled by the original show, titled by her books, because her books were called that. And, of course, titled by the column that she did. So, you know, it was only right that your podcast is called Sex in the City. Like, it was only right. So then her and the boss, they're walking out. They get in the elevator. She's like, you know, when I look up and I see your face. And like one of my subscribers, shout out to you. You know who I'm talking about. She said from the beginning, me and her were chit-chatting about, you know, things we see coming. And she was like, I see Carrie being with this boss, the sound guy. We see that happening. And, you know, I think it's like probably the producer, most likely the producer of the show. And when she said that, I was like, oh, yes, I could see Carrie being with him for sure. Especially because, you know, she said Peter didn't give her that sparkle, that spark. So definitely in that elevator scene, that was the Zaza Zoo for sure. They ended up kissing, and just like that, that is how episode 10 concluded, y'all. But some final words of the entire season. I am a Sex and the City fan. Like, I love Sex and the City so much. I told you guys from the beginning, I have watched seasons 1 through 6 so many times. I have lost count how many times I have watched 1 through 6 over and over and over again. And of course, part 1 and part 2 of the movies. I am a fan. I even watched the spin-offs, the Carrie Diaries. I'm a fan. So anything that has to do with the Sex and the City franchise, I'm going to watch because I am a fan of Sex and the City, period. So me seeing And Just Like That, of course I'm going to watch it. I have been waiting forever for a Sex and the City Part 3 movie forever. So we've been waiting for something. So that when this was announced, I was like, of course, why would I not watch it? Me being a Sex and the City fan. Of course, watching episodes 1 through 10, of course, it's not as amazing as Sex and the City was. Like, nothing would top that for me. Nothing related to Sex and the City would top the original show for me, because that was what it was at that time. I did like And Just Like That. There were parts of it that I enjoyed. There were parts of it I did not enjoy. If you guys watch all of my reviews, you see when I said things that I didn't like, things that I did like. But overall, I did like it. For the nostalgia's sake of me loving Sex and the City, it just felt good watching it, because I wanted to see how these characters grown and evolved. Of course, like I said, I always say the show started when they were in their 30s. Now they're in their 50s. They're not supposed to be the same people. They're not supposed to be doing the same things. We see life navigates, life happens, divorce happens, death happens. We see people grow and change, not want to be the same people, not want to be with the same people. Things have friendships break up. That is how life is. And for this show, that is what And Just Like That was showing. We're growing, we're evolved, we're older, we're wiser, we're learning, And of course, the one thing that was obvious was the diversity. We have more prominent roles for people of color, Black people, South Asian, Indian, Latino, Latinas. Like, we had it all. So of course, the diversity, like I said in the episode, I loved seeing the diversity. I hated some parts where they kept talking about it. Like, let us just see it. You don't have to keep talking about it. But I love that. Of course, we're in New York City, one of the most diverse places in the country. Like, of course, like, why wouldn't New York have so many diverse people? Like, it made sense. So overall, was it my favorite show? No, but I did like it. And it was nice to see Charlotte, Miranda, and Carrie back on my screen. It was nice to see Stanford on my screen, Rest in peace to Willie Garson. It was nice to see Anthony on my screen. It was nice to see these characters come back to life and let us see what is going on. We have watched so many shows in our lifetime where we don't know what happened to the characters. Like, it just goes away, and we all think, like, where are these characters now? What are they doing? But for And Just Like That, we got to see where these characters are and what they're doing. And the last thing that I do want to say is there is a documentary on And Just Like That. And Just Like That, the documentary, where they show behind the scenes. I haven't finished watching it, but so far what I'm watching, they show behind the scenes of, like, costume design and styling and production and the women and the men, how they came back together. Michael Patrick King is in it. We see everything, what's going on. We hear about Pat Fields. Pat Fields not returning. Like, all of the dynamics we get. We look back at older scenes from Sex and the City. We see the wardrobe. SJP has a whole archive of Carrie Bradshaw things. Like, I really want this to be in, like, a museum. Like, I would definitely go to a Sex and the City archive museum and see all of the looks. Carrie's looks, Miranda's looks, Charlotte's looks, Samantha's looks. Everybody's looks in, like, a little pop-up museum. That would be really cute to do that in New York City. But the documentary, so far, it's pretty cool. I gotta finish watching it, but definitely check it out if you want to. It's on HBO Max, of course. But yeah, guys, this is episode 10 of And Just Like That. If you haven't, definitely go check out episodes 1 through 9. I did reviews for each episode. And that's it. If you liked it, you like it. If you did it, you did it. I will see you guys in my next video. Go check out my previous videos. Last weekend, I did the Janet Jackson review to her documentaries. So definitely go check it out. I did part 1 and part 2. So check out both, y'all. And definitely stay tuned for more videos coming soon. And of course, go check out my other 2 YouTube channels. I will link them down below in my description box. And y'all, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Love.